The silent way was developed by Catigno in the 1970s. It's based on several assumptions that stress the importance of silence as a means for boosting learners' metacognitive skills. It assumes that learning takes place when learners are silent and thinking about ways to solve problems. The method is also based on the idea that learning is a discovery process whereby learners discover and develop their own learning strategies in their attempt to solve real-life-like problems. The silent way prioritizes learning over teaching and thus provides learners with more opportunities to learn, speak, and interact with each other, while the teacher is being passive and marginalized. It's a purely student-centered approach. Like all the other approaches, the silent way has an approach that rests on the theory of language and a theory of learning. The theory of language that is adopted by the silent way seems to combine both structural and functional principles. It considers that language is a set of structures that have multiple meanings based on the context in which these structures appear. The theory of learning encompasses three different perspectives, including the cognitive, the humanist, and the social constructivist perspectives. The cognitive perspective is represented by the idea that silence boosts learners' metacognitive skills. It assumes that learning better takes place when learners are silent, and that silence is indicative of a formative metacognitive and cognitive activity. The humanistic perspective could be seen in the amount of freedom and importance the method gives to learners, thus recognizing their uniqueness and singularity. The silent way is a learner-centered method par excellence, as it acknowledges the role of the learner in shaping their learning styles and improving their learning strategies. It's a humanistic approach because it takes individual differences into consideration more than any of its predecessors. The social constructivist aspect of the silent way is manifest in the role it attributes to collaborative learning and group work as a decisive factor in shaping the success of learning. The silent way places a great deal of importance on the role of more capable peers in scaffolding and helping their colleagues to learn. It's a method that encourages learners to share learning strategies and provide feedback that moves learners forward. The silent way has three major objectives, two of which are similar to the previously discussed methods. The first is its tendency to develop near native-like proficiency among learners. This entails more focus on accuracy and on proficiency, especially when teaching grammar and pronunciation. The second common aspect is its focus on developing oral skills while marginalizing reading and writing skills. However, this method is unique in its objective as it encourages independent learning and enables learners to be autonomous and capable of learning without the help of the teacher. We have previously stated that the silent way is a learner-centered approach. Yet, learners are unable to function well within this method if they don't see the significance and the importance of the subject area which they are studying in the outside world. So, they have to see the significance and find a sense of the subject area in order to be motivated and interested in learning it, because it will be helpful to them once they get out of the classroom. The second role is to build their own language rules. This could be done by taking risks and venturing into making mistakes and learning from the mistakes. In this way, they will develop independence and responsibility for their own learning, as they will grow independent from the teacher, and they will develop learning strategies that will help them learn by themselves. Another role is to develop self-assessment criteria that will help them to evaluate the extent to which they have advanced or they have learned or failed. And also it will enable them to diagnose their strengths and weaknesses and help to improve their performances. Another role is to provide peer feedback for learners who need feedback. This is part of working collaboratively and cooperatively as a part of a group or of a team. The roles of the teachers are very limited in this method. First, teachers are expected to design teaching materials and to create a good learning environment. They are also expected to lower their teacher talking time in order to provide learners with more opportunities to speak and more opportunities to be silent and to concentrate on what they are doing. Most of the time, teachers present whatever they want to present once using non-verbal clues depending on their body language, gestures, and mime. Teachers are also expected to silently elicit and shape students' responses by using non-verbal clues again. They also encourage risk-taking by not being too harsh on errors and being very tolerant with mistakes. They also need to be neutral, disinterested, and emotionally uninvolved. As for the instructional materials, since we have stated previously that this method aims at developing oral skills, therefore there is no need for textbooks. All the materials that teachers use are pointers, colored rods, colored charts, and colorful pictures and a board. The class always starts with the pronunciation practice. The teacher models an utterance with colored rod and then elicits answers from the students. Then the teacher indicates silently, using body language, whether the student's answer or response is correct or not. If it's not correct, then the teacher points to other students to correct it, and here is the importance of feedback, peer feedback especially, more specifically. Then we move to practice vocabulary. More importantly, functional vocabulary, not any kind of vocabulary, with colored reds. The teacher then introduces new structures of vocabulary using colors. Then they create a situation for practicing the new structure using rods. We're going to see examples in the forthcoming slides. Here are some further readings that you may need to read to get a more extensive and elaborate idea about what the silent way is all about. Now, it's time for reflection. I expect that you would provide me with your answers in the comments or via my email, which you already have. So we have some questions that I'd like you to think and reflect about. What are the similarities and differences between the silent way and audiolingual method? How is the silent way different from other design methods? What aspects of the silent way do you consider as innovative? Would you use the silent way in your classes if you were a language teacher? Why or why not? Based on your experience as a high school student, what are some of the activities which belong to the silent way that your teachers used to do? Would you advise teachers to use the silent way in the Moroccan context? Why or why not? Thank you for your attention.